about growing up there and how that maybe shaped you musically. That's why I brought it up, because I think it's interesting. It is a smaller town, and you guys are doing really well. So how did growing up in that area maybe shape you?
Yeah, well, like you mentioned, we actually met in our public school. So we're really lucky. Traverse City is a small town with a really tight community, lots of local music, lots of local places to play music, like strong breweries and independent bookstores and coffee stores and farmers markets and festivals. So, we were lucky that our school had this really great orchestra program, which a lot of schools don't have, or even have music programs in general. So, Sav and I were both playing violin and cello, and our teacher really encouraged us to pick up alternative styles. So we started getting into folk music from Sav's family, who her parents met in Nashville. She brought a lot of that.
We bought Led Zeppelin arrangements online and used to play them in a quartet after
so
school.
That's one quick thing on this. Sav, I read that your birth was announced on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah, so my dad, I was actually born 2 days early. I was supposed to be born on the 4th of July, so my dad was on his way to a gig with Whispering Bill Anderson. And then I was like, nah, you're not doing that. And I decided to arrive early, and so my dad borrowed a truck, one of the band members' trucks, to drive back. But I guess Whispering Bill Anderson was like, well, my keyboard player's gone, but he's currently having a kid right now, so her name's Savannah Cheyenne Bice, and there you have it. So I wasn't there, obviously, so I'm paraphrasing. But
Don't remember that?
Okay. I mean, how great is that? My birth was announced on the Grand Ole Opry. That's a great way to start. So back to now, you guys meet in high school, and I'm sure it's this thing where it's like, okay, we clearly show talent. We want to do this more often, but I don't see this in the music industry. But you get a visit from the Moxie Strings, and that seems to be something that establishes your belief that this could happen. So could you share some more about that?
Yeah, Moxie Strings are a duo, two women who play violin and cello, and they do lots of different styles, but a lot of fiddle tunes and Celtic
rock,
music and Scottish music, and a lot of Allie plays an electric cello that I ended up buying. So I was really inspired by the way she plays electric cello.
Sure.
And they really taught us to be fearless and take on improvisation, which is something I was absolutely terrified of doing. I could not play anything that was not written on a page at that point. And so they are a professional band, and watching them come into our school and do a workshop, Sav and I were just like, hey, let's do that. And we started as a duo, kind of following in their footsteps for a long time, and then we added Michael in on drums a few years later. So.
And that's just got to be so empowering and powerful to be able to see, hey, now that's I can do this.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I feel like it's important to have somebody who's tangible and in front of you and showing you that it's possible. I think representation is really important in that way. When you see somebody like you doing the thing you want to do, then you're more encouraged to try it.
We talked on Michael joining the band. There's an interesting story there too. Wasn't he just a fan of yours and showed up to a gig and was like, you guys needed a drummer, and it just kind of worked out?
It's even funnier than that.
I love it.
He was a fan, and we met at Bliss Fest, which is in Harbor Springs, Michigan. And I think the first conversation we ever had was him going up to Katie and being like, do you know Doctor Who? And she's like, no. Do you know Andrew Bird? And he's like, no. And so we thought this was over, we were like, well, okay, well, that was awkward.
Okay, bye.
He just keeps asking for the next.
But I used to put songs up on SoundCloud, and we became friends, over the course of that. And I remember he hit me up one day and he's like, hey, can I add drums to this song that you have up? And I was like, you play drums? Have you not known we were looking for a drummer? And he's like, no.
Yeah, first we tried to hire him to be our sound engineer, actually.
Yeah, we did. But yeah, so he put drums on the song.
Do you know OBS? Because I wrote a manual.
Not yet. That was...
No, but he...
Time machine.
I think our first real show with him was on Mackinac Island, where you can't really bring a full drum kit because there's no cars. There's only horses and buggies. I'm not even kidding you. This is actually true. So he had to bring a box.
This is in between.
So he had to bring
We're back to the oven mitt.
And he played this box at this gig, and we were like, this guy's amazing, because he knew all of our songs and all the covers that we did. He knew those artists too. So yeah, it worked out.
And how do you decide on the cello? Like, what is it? I know that you said you saw them, but is it more to that? Is there something that you really enjoy about the instrument? I guess. Like, what did you grow to love? I guess.
Well, when I was in 5th grade, I really wanted to play saxophone, but I tried it out and they told me I had bad lung capacity.
That was back when they were really brutal.
How rude.
Yeah. Well, I liked, at the time, cello was sort of the underdog instrument, like everyone, I was actually the only cellist, the only person in my whole school who wanted to play cello for like 4 years. So I had a really good time to bond with it.
Be less.
See, but those are my 2 favorite instruments.
Band was quite cool.
Like to score for. I think like the arrangements, when we're arranging songs for orchestras, we do a lot of that with youth orchestras, and I'm always like trying to give the French horn way more than they actually want. I actually had one conductor like pull me aside. He's like, "Listen, French horns don't play that much. They need a lot of breath."
Did you know we only have one French horn?
Give some more to the sousaphone.
No, like some instruments need to actually like breathe. We don't rely on that. We can breathe and play at the same time. Right. So
true, very true.
Poor saxophone and French horn.
No, but cello is my favorite too. There's some artists out there that play that, and it's it's just it sounds like angelic. It really does.
Je ne sais quoi, like the gives you goosebumps. Like,
George is busting out the French.
Yeah, sultry. We like naturally chose complementary instruments, and that's been like this sort of like accidental.
That was no accident.
Friendship, right? It's like Sav. The great thing about cello is, you can have a high range, but really you can do a lot of bass work, and a lot of chordal work, which is sort of how we started as a duo. Was I would kind of hold down the bass lines, and then Sav would turn her violin sideways and be like, it sounds like a mandolin. But then we learned, over the years to like switch up roles and add like cool pedals and electric instruments. But I think that's sort of how we work as well. We kind of balance each other out, just like the instruments do.
Here we go.
Yo,
this is awesome,
man! Back together again.
This is great.
Yeah.
I think the last time, what year was it when we were all? It had to be before the world exploded. Like
2018, maybe. In Galva, Illinois.
Yeah, Galva.
Yeah, it was Illinois.
At the Levin Pavilion.
Levin Pavilion. That's it. That's totally it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was wearing a space hat from the venue Space in Evanston. And someone else in the group, someone else in the group was also wearing a space hat. And I remember we were just like,
It was extremely hot. I remember sweating so hard.
It was hot. It was an open field. Yeah.
It was a gross day to be alive. Yeah. But it was cool. We had a blast.
How did you guys like performing? Did you perform with each other?
Dude, I wish.
No, we should have.
I was saying you guys should have a song together. I put that out there in the universe, and I'm hoping it comes true.
There's definitely going to be some jamming someday.
Oh yeah, I mean we've been on the same. I feel like we pass all these musicians and bands. We pass each other on all these crossroads of music festivals and gigs across the country. And I feel like for a while we were following you guys around. We saw your name on posters as we were getting to venues. That's always fun. So.
Right. My favorite part of that, though, honestly, the show was great, but we ended up in the same hotel the next morning, if I remember correctly. We were having breakfast. We were having continental yogurt and stuff, and just like shooting the and dry oatmeal, and we're shooting the breeze. Like the conversations that we were having at that point would just be unimaginable now. Like we were just talking about how I had this show and this tour, and we were just over there, and we'll say hi to them, and we haven't been doing that stuff for 2 years now.
We're ready to get back to it.
Right.
We'll have the collab is gonna happen. It's definitely it'll be super group territory. We have to come up with a name though.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I suggest Gangstadental.
There we go. There we go. Nailed it.
Better than Gangstagrass, I guess.
Gangstagrass, it was not going to be as good,
Gangstagrass has toured internationally, blowing minds on stages from South by Southwest to Gray Fox Bluegrass Festival, with a live act taking full advantage of improvise. I can't say it.
We make stuff up.
That's right. Long word. It's a long word.
Improvisation.
Improvisatory.
Improvisation.
I don't know what he's going for. I'm going to let him go.
Improvisational.
the improvisational aspects of both hip hop and bluegrass. Thank you guys.
That's a long one. It's got 6 cylinders.
I saw the word in my brain. Improvisational. I'm glad that you guys allowed me to be a little improvisational on that one.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good.
I'm gonna bring our stuff back in.
Yeah. And when we got the live shows going again, we really wanted to dip a toe in gradually just to take it easy because we weren't sure how it was going to go. So we decided to go on America's Got Talent, as our easy first step.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really our first time in front of an audience since lockdown started.
Right,
That's
in like
awesome.
a year and a half.
It's the best way,
Yeah.
I think. You rip the Band-Aid right off.
Yeah, you jump right in the deep end.
Right.
And the audience reaction to when the song you play on that very first one is so cool because it was obviously geniusly selected in that it starts out as more bluegrassy and then the beat hits and everyone's like, oh. and I think that's the best part of the music.
I can't play any of the audio because
I was just gonna say we hesitate to do it because YouTube will shut us down.
They'll shut us down immediately. But we can show some of this because it's on. Listen, man, how is this experience? This is insane.
It was cool.
Yeah, super fun. It was great to be playing together again because we hadn't in a while, and it's a fun experience to be on the show, to be around a bunch of other talented acts, and everybody's pretty it's all supportive and positive, which was something that we definitely talked about going into the show and making sure that we were going on into a place that wasn't about really like ragging on each other or putting people down, and turned out to be true. Everybody was cheering each other on. Terry Crews was amazing to meet. Loved him.
That was awesome. It was great. It was honestly, it was as good as it looks.
That's so cool.
Show and the accidentals we get to see again. Pretty sweet.
You lucked out. I have to give props to Phil. If I can take a moment, he's a mastermind of putting all these music episodes together. We do a lot of fun podcasting, but we would not be able to do it without Phil's help and work. So thank you, Phil.
I'm gonna cut that one off and put it on my my LinkedIn account on repeat. But Wrench, if you don't mind, maybe take us back to the beginning of where you get this idea. From what I heard, it was recordings of Ralph Stanley and the Clinch Mountain Boys. Is that correct?
That was definitely what I was listening to the early 2000s when I had the idea. I was already making different kinds of country and hip hop combinations, but when I was listening to the Clinch Mountain Boys stuff, I was thinking, let's try bluegrass with some rappers. And the first thing I thought was, well, it would be called Gangstagrass. And so then I just had to try it out, and I started out, but just by sampling a bunch of Ralph Stanley, Bill Monroe, early blues stuff.
Sure.
And then putting hip hop acapellas over it from people that I'd worked with. But that just took off. People liked it so much. I said, I gotta get a band together to do this.
And in that beginning phases, you were just putting out free downloads out there, and it just took off.
Yeah, the first Gangstagrass album was just a free download. Just say, hey, check it out. What do you think?
Yeah, and then correct me if I'm wrong on the chronology here, but then FX Network reaches out and says, we want a song for the show Justified.
Yeah, I got a call out of the blue because they'd heard that.
That's going to be an awesome phone call.
Yeah. I said, we're looking for the guy that did Gangstagrass. And I said, that's me. And they had me do something to be the theme song on this new show. And luckily for me, it was a fun show. I liked it.
It's a great show. It's a great show, and it's perfect opening lyrics and music for it. And it just got another season, didn't it?
Yeah, they're doing a new like a mini series.
Got it.
Of it. Yeah.
So there should be a new Gangstagrass song to lay down underneath it.
There should.
So how do you guys find each other? Is it like a Craigslist ad? Like, well, I'm just saying, like, it's crazy.
Yes. No one ever guesses that. They found me on Craigslist.
Is it
that is in fact how we found Danjo.
Are you kidding? It's really Craigslist?
George nailed it.
No joke. No joke.
Yeah, it was in the couples seeking.
You won the tickets, George. What do we?
Yep. But that's wild because it is like I'm thinking of a place where you would all meet. You know what I mean? Like, I met. It's so wild.
Yeah, it started out of just like an interesting musical concept. Like that would be fun and interesting sounding, and then let's bring the people together to do that. But in that process, I think we've really like learned a lot, and we've really seen, you know, sort of become part of this push to bring down the barriers. Just because of what we do. It's like the only way we can do it, you know?
I think there's something, if you don't live in a world that has those barriers, you get shocked by someone else who puts them up. I think that might be what's happening, is you guys were just making good music and you didn't realize it was going to run into this opposition. And I think that's probably why it evolved into that, because it's like, well, why would you think that way or whatever? And it's just a shocker for somebody when you're not wired that way. And it's something that we have to keep pushing against, because it's not helping us.
Yeah, I've also learned a lot myself in the past 10 years of doing it, discovering some of the history of those divisions that I didn't even know when I started out. I was just thought it would be cool to combine these two things.
Sure.
And in the process, started learning about the music history of the labels. You know, initially categorizing Southern music into race music and hillbilly music, and putting up all of these sort of artificial genres to it. And that was something that I've been discovering along the way. So I've had my mind blown just by looking into the roots of what we're doing.
For sure. And go ahead, Dolio.
And a lot of it kind of became more obvious to us once we started doing stuff overseas, because those barriers don't exist over there.
Agreed. Right.
They just see a bunch of Americans.
Right.
What was there? I have a question just about a fandom. You know, do you guys find it interesting to maybe catch a country fan listening and they're like, what is this? I really enjoy it. And then kind of see their progression of getting into what you do? Because you have to be pulling people in from genre, right?
You can see them going through all of the 7 stages of Gangstagrass. Them. They're like, the first stage is, huh? The second stage is, oh. Third stage is, you know, and it eventually just comes out to where it eventually progresses to them becoming an evangelist.
That's so true. Again, back to like the America's Got Talent video. If you go back and watch that, they make all of those faces Dolio just made.
They do. And then like how he just like stood up right at the end of the song. He was just like so excited. No, it's cool. I mean, you have people like you mentioned, country fans. We have hip hop fans that come out, and then we have the people that come out that are just like, yeah, I don't like country, and I don't like hip hop, but I like what you guys are doing.
That's so funny.
And it happens. It happens more often than you'd think. It's very funny.
Yeah.